Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Red Raptor Writes. We're back with another dinosaur documentary review. Well, actually, this one's more of a show, but still educational. Of course, I'm talking about Prehistoric Park, an epic series starring naturalist Nigel Marvin. It was created in 2006 by Impossible Pictures, who did the effects for previous BBC Dino docs, but has since come into its own as an independent company. I know a lot of people are nostalgic for the Walking With series and Big Al, but for me, this was the stuff. Strangely enough, I didn't start with the show. I got hooked in the second grade when I bought the book at the Scholastic Book Fair. Man, those were the best. 7-year-old me had no idea what it was, but the cover had dinosaurs on it, so I had to buy it. Later, I upgraded to the show and never looked back. But now I have extra evidence at my disposal. Even though Prehistoric Park is a fun show, how does it hold up scientifically? Is it actually educational or all just for show? There's a lot to cover here, so let's dig this up. Alright, so it's time to simp for Nigel Marvin. Don't hold it against me, I'm sure we've all done it. S to the I to the M to the P. I wish I could give Prehistoric Park an A for his personality alone, but we have to talk science. By the way, how do I abbreviate Prehistoric Park? I can't say that 100 times, but PP is off limits for obvious reasons. How's P Park? Nah, that doesn't work either. Okay, I'm calling it Park. Just Park. I think a great place to start is with the Mammoth. In my Walking With Beasts review, I didn't give these guys the attention they deserve, but the creators do a good job with them. They're given the right shape and size. Instead of just being hairy elephants, we see them with their fluffy dome heads. If you're gonna copy anyone, copy the coolest. They're also shown with raised shoulders above a sloping back, unlike modern elephants that have their backs more even. But big dummy thick butt here, the babies are correctly shown with a more elephantine look. And I've gotta mention the presence of sexual dimorphism, which occurs in living and extinct elephants because, you know, there are real biological distinctions between males and females. Chad mammoths were larger in size but also possessed a longer and more curvy pair of tusks compared to the Karen females. So overall, yeah, Martha's looking good. Why did you say that then? We also see some nice sexual dimorphism in the dinosaurs. In Ornithomimus and in Sisyphosaurus, the males are more brightly colored with dull females, just like the other theropods, the birds. We even see the buck-toothed dinosaur performing mating displays in all of its colorful, fluffy glory. Oh yeah, that's another plus. Certain dinosaurs are given feathers. In Sisyphosaurus and of course Microraptor get proper wings, while some others get a bit of fuzz. It's unfortunate how not every creature gets the plumage they deserve, but we'll get there soon enough. Microraptor is portrayed here with a black body and white head, which isn't bad at all. Melanosomes, or the pigment cells, have been found in their feathers. What scientists found was that their coloration was dark and iridescent. While we aren't given a nice shine, nice work guys, they were black. The famous saber-toothed cat, Smilodon, makes another appearance in Park as an animal Nigel desperately wants to include. While its coloration is different than what we saw in Walking With Beasts, their physical features and lifestyle are shown to be largely the same. Thankfully, these portrayals are largely accurate, so both times this awesome predator is done justice. These Smilodons live in packs or prides, use ambush hunting techniques, and possess those massive fangs to get at the throats of their prey. Good stuff.
So good.
I already gave these guys plenty of attention before, so I'll move on to its favored prey, Toxidon. Due to its geographic separation from other landmasses, South America was filled with strange animals, and these are no exception. Toxidon were large ungulates with strange proportions. They had tiny front limbs and an equally short face. But hey, they were still like rhino-sized. Sometimes being dummy thick is all you need to get ahead. Next up, we have Tyrannosaurus, which appears in nearly every dino doc. They look way better than in Walking With Dinosaurs. Impossible Pictures finally decided to step up their game. The tail's not small and flimsy anymore, plus the head resembles that of an actual T-Rex and not that lizard abomination thing from the ironically named Amazing Spider-Man. Although we're not given perfection, they're still easily recognizable as the Tyrant Lizard King. So yeah, for the most part, the animals look great, but they also act realistically too. An obvious example is the Tyrannosaurus face biting. Several skulls have been found with bite marks caused by other rexes. Even the famous Jane specimen got into a scrap with another juvenile rex, something similar to what happens between Terrence and Matilda. Heck, even their mom gets injured in combat with another individual. Parasaurolophus too is shown using its crest to make vocalizations, another correct behavior. The nasal passages in them and other lambeosaurines extended into their large crests to make unique sounds. This is a bit of behavior that actually holds up. Then Nigel calls paras rare on top of that, which is another fact. Compared to other hadrosaurs, relatively few specimens have been found. Maybe they were rarer, maybe there was some preservation bias against them. Their predator, the Dinosuchus, also acts accordingly too. In the final episode of Prehistoric Park, we witness this giant crocodilian stalking Parasaurolophus from the water, then death rolling them.
That's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Scientists have actual evidence of a predator-prey relationship between hadrosaurs and Dinosuchus. Hadrosaur tail vertebrae were found with tooth marks from the giant predator. Unlike the Sarcosuchus we've covered previously, the dino was able to perform the tactics we see in the show. Their bodies could withstand the stresses of a death roll, so it is possible this is how they hunted. In the same episode, we see the T-Rex cousin, Albertasaurus, one of my favorite dinos. Now, usually I complain about pack hunting in my videos, and it'll keep coming for sure, but this is a plausible explanation for why 26 individuals of various ages have been found together in the dry island bone bed. Other explanations, like them congregating due to drought or flash flood, are also plausible, but if Impossible Pictures wanted to show pack hunting in any dinosaur, Albertasaurus is probably their best bet. Another creature done well is the cave bear, which
is supposed to be a vegetarian!
Nigel states that they weren't very carnivorous, mainly eating plants, which is supported by the structure of their teeth and chemical analysis of their bones. As the name implies, cave bears like their caves, being more reliant upon them for hibernation and parenting than modern bears. One hypothesis for their extinction is that humans actually outcompeted them for caves, a valuable resource necessary for their survival, so it's cool that we see one defending his cave. The last bit of behavior I'll compliment is how Park constructs mammoth social behavior. Cave paintings portray them living in herds like we see here, but Prehistoric Park goes the extra mile to show these herds as matriarchal, the same as modern elephants, while adult males roam around on their own. Walking with Monsters showed off the chilling millipede relative Arthropleura, which makes a return. Previously, it was described as an herbivore, a fact that I complimented. It has been suspected that this creepy crawly didn't have strong mandibles and other mouth parts typical of a predator, since no mouth has been preserved like the rest of its body. This idea was confirmed when plant matter was found in its guts and poop. So yes, Arthropleura would have been the typical annoying vegan of the Carboniferous. Okay, I know this segment is already much longer than usual, but I should compliment the environments before moving on. For the most part, they look pretty good. Once again, we see the swampy and tree-filled Carboniferous with a much higher oxygen content in the atmosphere when compared with the present. Nigel actually correctly states that the atmosphere was 35% oxygen as opposed to our 21. It's nice when they get the specific facts like that. Pleistocene South America, or Smilodon populator hunted, is thought to have been largely a savanna biome, and I love how Nigel visits the mammoth steppe in Siberia at two different times. 150,000 years ago, woolly mammoths were abundant on the open plains, but 10,000 years ago, their habitat was replaced by forests, causing them to struggle since their diet was dependent on grasses. This is executed perfectly in Park. Even though it's executed in a very simplified way, the Great American Interchange gets some acknowledgement here. It's demonstrated that when North and South America collided, their distinct animals began competing with one another, to which the North was generally more successful, taking dominance over the South. All in all, there's so much to compliment on top of an already enjoyable show. Like usual, I have to acknowledge that this series premiered 15 years ago, and science has certainly not stagnated in that time, so some facts are out of date. When Nigel visits China, he's searching for the aforementioned Microraptor. Prehistoric Park shows these guys doing that super iconic glide with its distinctive 4 wings. I'm sure they can glide down if they felt like it, but more recent studies suggest that they were true flyers, capable of some form of powered flight. Their asymmetrical flight feathers, shoulder anatomy, and alulas, or bird thumbs, are all good indicators that they more than likely flew instead of just glided. Park also has its Microraptors acting as insectivores, taking advantage of the upturned dirt caused by sauropod footsteps. This is a fun bit of speculation, but new finds have shed more light on their diet, showing that these tiny dinos were true carnivores, feeding on small mammals, lizards, and even fish. These raptors may not look like much, but they were tough. Like in Dinosaur Planet, Park introduces us to the pesky carnivore Troodon. As I said before, these guys are fake.
Because you're not real. Both of you are just a dream. And when I open my eyes, you'll be gone.
Okay, I should clarify. Yeah, their fossils exist, but in 2017 were determined to be undiagnostic, meaning there's not enough substantial material to properly describe or identify them. Since its original naming, there have been numerous debates over what is and isn't Troodon because, again, how the heck can you tell based on a single tooth? This whole mess was cleared up when the genus Troodon was terminated. Previously attributed specimens have been reclassified as either Stenonychosaurus or Latenovenatrix. A major staple of Prehistoric Park is an unnamed Titanosaur genus that causes massive headaches for Keeper Bob. I'd love to go into more detail about them, but they're never named. Titanosaur fossils were known from the Yixian Formation in northern China, and have since been named Dongbei Titan. This genus is probably what these sauropods are based on. Another strange herbivore is Toxidon. Although they look about right, they went through an early sauropod-like phase since Charles Darwin assumed them to be semi-aquatic. A hippo-like lifestyle is now outdated. Paleontologists now believe that these were terrestrial creatures who grazed on the plains of South America. Prehistoric Park wants to have it both ways though. It shows herds grazing, but also includes a segment where they swim together. This brings me back to the example of the blight on humanity known as Neapolitan ice cream. When you try to please everyone by loading different flavors into the same carton, everyone's left with a confusing mess. So please, just buy vanilla. Parasaurolophus too is a little off. While they do look right for the mid-2000s, they have that super slender build you'd expect from the time. Nowadays, they're given some real meat on those bones, especially in the neck area. And finally, I have to once again mention that the famous KPG extinction event occurred closer to 66 million years ago and not 65. Nigel would have arrived during the Paleogene instead of the Cretaceous. In my last review, Walking with Monsters, I noted how we're now entering the dark ages of paleomedia. That's not to say Park is a bad show or super inaccurate, but here we start to see dino docs regressing back into the old tropes we just spent years running away from. There's a push to transform them back into the awesome bro monsters from your childhood. Thankfully, Prehistoric Park doesn't go that far, but it's coming up soon. Remember back in Dinosaur Planet, when the wrists were almost never pronated? I miss those days. Well, this series reverts back to full pronation, and it burns my eyes. Bipedal dinosaurs should never be shown with their hands facing downwards unless their wrists are just completely broken. Suzanne needs to get on that.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Their palms should be facing inwards towards each other. Heck, even many quadrupedal dinos still had their wrists more like this. And remember in The Truth About Killer Dinosaurs, when we saw fully feathered and winged velociraptors in all their beauty? Well, now most bird-like dinosaurs are remarkably bald. The Ornithomimus, guys. The Ornithomimus hurt me. The two troodontids do get some fuzz, but are still far from how they should be. Of course, it doesn't end there. When dinosaurs roamed America and Dinosaur Planet both showed that juvenile tyrannosaurids were leaner, faster, had longer legs, and a more elongated snout than their parents. This is very well supported by the fossil record. But then we get to Park, which decides to present them simply as miniature versions of adults. The same happens with Triceratops, although to be fair, everyone keeps messing this up too. This program and many others show all growth stages to be just larger and smaller variants of each other, when this was far from the case. Children had backwards pointing horns, a lower frill, and epiccipitals or frill spikes that round out as they aged. Theo is described as a young adult or teenager, yet looks fully grown. And for the record, no, Torosaurus does not represent a fully grown Triceratops. That's not what I'm getting at all. No Dino Doc has claimed that yet, so there's no need to start a whole lesson on their differences. It's sad, but we still get these large herds of Triceratops roaming around the late Cretaceous. As I've said in the past, this may not have been the case. Other ceratopsians like Centrosaurus and Pachyrhinosaurus have been found in large bone beds, potentially showing herding behavior, like we see here. But for Triceratops itself, they've only been found individually or in small groups. Maybe there's a massive trike bone bed waiting to be found, but as of right now, this isn't supported. Theo and his Triceratops brethren are also shown charging like angry rhinos. This myth was just busted by killer dinosaurs a year prior, so please chill with that. While we're still in Hell Creek, it is worth noting how Bill Oddie in Killer Dinosaurs correctly made comparisons between this formation and the Florida Everglades, consisting of lush forests and floodplains. Unfortunately, Prehistoric Park brings us back to that volcanic hellhole portrayal. This isn't Mustafar, guys. Think more Dagobah.
It is evolving, just backwards.
And my last gripe with the first episode is the T-Rex speed. Remember, I slammed Audie for claiming adults ran up to 25 miles per hour. Nah, these were heavy, bulky animals not built for speed. Estimates have varied over the past few decades, but usually whine within the teens. 2017 estimates gave speeds of 17 and 11 miles per hour. Park, though, throws out a wild 40 miles per hour. That's as fast as a racehorse. Meganeura is messed up as well. While the design is good, Park and WWM both refer to it as a giant dragonfly, when this isn't the case. I mean, they're similar, dragonflies are their closest living relatives, but the two are separate. Meganeura belongs to the order Meganisoptera, also called the griffinflies, while modern dragonflies are a part of Odonata, along with damselflies. The final episode, Super Croc, also has some problems worth mentioning. Although the Dinosuchus here is legendary, it is oversized. Bob calls it 50 feet here, and in the behind the scenes, Nigel says 60 feet. These estimates are crazy. Even the largest specimens are only estimated at around 35 feet in length, or about 11 meters. While the cast may call them the largest crocodilians, a few other genera rival them in size, such as the Ramphosuchus, Pterosaurus, and the crocodilomorph Sarcosuchus. It's commonly referred to as a crocodile too throughout the episode. Scientifically speaking, the name crocodile refers to any species in the family Crocodilidae. Dinosuchus itself does not belong here, but moved on dear to the superfamily Alligatoroidia. While it isn't exactly an alligator, this giant was far closer to one. The Albertasaurus too needs help. Park turns it into just a smaller T-Rex, which doesn't do them justice. Yeah, they're tyrannosaurids and had the typical tyrannosaur build, but should have been shown with longer, thinner jaws and a sleeker body than their more famous relative. Even the small crests don't stand out, because they were also tossed onto the T-Rex skull. Like, bruh, show Albertasaurus some real love.
Hello, you've reached the house of unrecognized talent.
Okay, that was a lot of complaining. Let's finish this off with the usual out of place and out of time creatures. The Terrorbird is an easy start, because it's another holdover from Walking with Beasts. Although not specifically named due to their look and location, we have to assume we're looking at Pterosaurus, which should have gone extinct over 10 million years prior. Terror birds did survive to over 1 million years ago in the form of Titanus, but they've only been found in North America. So no, Pterosaurus didn't play second fiddle to Smilodon. It wasn't just a scavenger that lived in their shadow. I'm not sure why, but it's also overestimated at 10 feet when they maxed out at just under 8 feet tall. In the second episode, Nigel Marvin travels back 10,000 years to save the last woolly mammoths when they actually held on for much longer. On St. Paul Island and Wrangel Island, they managed to survive for several thousand more years. Although mammoths lived longer than advertised, the cave bear did not, dying out around 24,000 years ago. The giant scorpion encountered 300 million years ago, Pulmonus scorpius, also survives way longer than it should, another 26 million years. That's almost as long as Queen Elizabeth. The Pterosaur Nicktosaurus makes its appearance 75 million years ago when it would have lived 10 million years prior. A common misconception in paleomedia is placing Microraptor in the Yixiang Formation 125 million years ago when it didn't appear until 5 million years later. And finally, we come back to the poor Albertasaurus. It's shown living in Texas 75 million years ago. No. All confirmed species of the genus have only been found in Alberta, Canada, mostly in the Horseshoe Canyon Formation. They didn't live that long ago either, not appearing until the Lower Maastrichtian 71 million years ago. Indeterminate material has been found in different times and places, but cannot be confirmed as Albertasaurus. Alright, time to wrap this up. Prehistoric Park. Man, this brings back memories. As much as I enjoyed the show and book in my youth, I need to stay objective by acknowledging the upsides and downsides. It'll always be great as entertainment, but accuracy-wise, I have mixed opinions. This series has so many facts to appreciate and can be really informative at times. However, we do see several regressions from where Dino Docs used to be. There's so much good and so much bad lumped together into one. Because of this, I think it'll be fair to give Prehistoric Park a C+. Dang, this was a fun video to make. Thank you everyone for paying me to watch and talk about some of the coolest shows from my childhood. Of course, I appreciate everyone who supports my channel. Unfortunately, this is the last we'll see of Nigel Marvin in these Dino Doc reviews. He's been my favorite presenter so far, and to be honest, I'm gonna miss him a lot. At least we'll hear more of him in the upcoming game, Prehistoric Kingdom. You can bet your butt I'll be playing more of that with each update. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and check out my social media. See you next time.